Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons by people who love The Simpsons about how much we hate The Simpsons, and we're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. My name is Don.
My name is Jack. Jack Opalcone.
Very good, Jacko. Jacko Picone, of course.
Of course.
Of course. No,
I don't do accents, I'm sorry.
I don't know if I did either. I think people think my name is Don now, but it's Dan. And hey everyone, we're here back with you for another episode. It is our St. Patrick's Day episode, even though it's...
That's what that was.
That's what it was supposed to be. This is actually coming out the day after St. Patrick's Day, so top of the morning to you.
To all our hungover listeners.
Yes, exactly.
Or if you are like us, it was a normal Tuesday night where you were in bed by 8:30.
8:30? What is it, New Year's Eve? Anyway, we're here with another top-notch Simpsons episode to watch. Before we get into all that stuff, we want to thank everybody for downloading the show. Tell your friends if you like what we're doing here. It helps us out. You know, the more listeners we get, the better show we'll do. We've been putting on a real mediocre show. For like 5 listeners, but if we get 6...
Yeah, we've been saving. We've been holding it in. This is just 10%.
We're going to bring the A game as soon as we get 7 listeners. So thanks, everyone. And, you guys have been great clicking through on the Amazon page, on wepodcast.com, all that stuff. You guys are terrific. We got really, really great fans. So let's get into this episode. It is a Season 20 episode, another Season 20 episode called Sex, Pies, and Idiot Scrapes, originally aired in September of 2008. Jack, have you seen this one?
I think I've seen this one.
Yes.
We picked this episode. Nobody suggested this one.
Right. We're going rogue.
Yeah, we're going rogue. I believe this is the one with the St. Patrick's Day opening that I thought was in Bonfire of the Manatees and others. Now, this is going to be like way back in our 4th episode when we watched an episode that I liked because of the joke. One of my favorite jokes was in it.
Right.
And it just fell flat because I built up the expectation for an hour.
Yeah.
But now we've been building up the expectations for 2 months.
If it exists, this St. Patrick's Day scene better be amazing.
I assure you it's probably not. And I'm sorry for inflating everybody's expectation. I hope you're all really hungover. And, I don't know.
Just stumbling through this podcast. Well, it's interesting because it aired in September, so it's clearly not the focus of the episode.
Yeah, it's just the first. If this is the episode, which I'm hoping it is, because it's going to be a really awkward St. Patrick's Day episode if it's not. It's actually about Father's Day.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. But it's... if it is the episode I'm thinking of, I think it's just the first 3 minutes of St. Patrick's Day, and then the rest goes on its own. The Simpsons from time to time do a first act or first scene that has nothing to do with the rest of the episode.
You know, I've noticed that once or twice before. All right, so we are going to take a break and watch this episode. If you haven't seen it yet, this is your chance. You can pause this very podcast and watch it on Simpsons World, or Season 20, I think, is on DVD. So maybe you have it. I don't know. Maybe you got it as a gift from someone who doesn't know you that well, and they were like, oh, he likes The Simpsons.
You like the new ones, right? The shiny one. And, if you're not on your way to work or commuting or whatever, we're having a couple of beers. We're not getting drunk.
Right.
But we had some Popeyes, and we're gonna have a few beers just to celebrate the Irish tradition of Popeyes and beer.
Absolutely. You know, it's sad. I only eat Popeyes when we're recording this show, which is fairly often. So I'm gaining a lot of weight.
I go to Popeyes all the time now, and I just start talking into a microphone just to make myself feel like it's okay. It's the weed diet.
As you order Popeyes, you're like, hey, you seen this episode? This one? This is terrible, this one. That's what you sound like on the podcast. You see this one?
That's my Irish accent.
All right, we're going to watch the episode. We'll be back in a minute, guys.
Ed, I never thought I'd say this, but we make a great team.
Us? A team? As the salad said to the soup, I'm all mixed up.
We should be bounty hunters together. You're kind and smart. I'm cruel and strong. Together, we're nothing. But together, we're the perfect bounty hunter.
So that was Sex, Pies, and Idiot Scrapes, which I just realized 10 seconds before we started recording. That, it's Sex Pies, like erotic cakes.
Right.
And then I guess the Idiot Scrapes is...
the scrapes that Homer and Ned are getting into.
So do you think they... they come up with these puns and then build the episodes around them?
You know, I was thinking about that when we were watching it, and I kind of feel like they must have done it that way, because you don't think to pair erotic bakery with bounty hunting.
Yeah, I really feel like somebody came up with sex pies and then they went from there.
Someone's watching Sex Lies and videotape and was like, sex pies. And,
Well, even last week with Lisa the Drama Queen, I wonder if somebody was like, remember we did Lisa the Beauty Queen, and Drama Queen's a phrase. What if...
Right.
I don't know.
I just watched Heavenly Creatures last week.
It's a very cynical take on it, but I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe they do it that backwards way, but we don't know.
So let's describe this episode real quick in case you haven't watched it. First of all, we were right. Finally, it was the St. Patrick's Day.
We've done it. It took 23 episodes, but we found it.
The famous St. Patrick's Day opening, and I was also
I don't
right.
know how famous the opening is.
Well, it's famous for...
This is the most notable St. Patrick's Day opening ever.
Just snorted. Fuck.
Keep that in. Do not cut this. Popeyes, you've done it again.
Yeah, it's famous for if you've been listening the last few weeks because all right. So if you haven't been listening, we thought a few episodes ago, or I thought that it was the one with the St. Patrick's Day. I realize now the Irish character played by the Irish American played by Hank Azaria. I guess he was Irish. I thought was Alec Baldwin for some. I must have watched those two episodes near each other or something. They're both season premieres, I think.
They are both season premieres.
So
6 years apart, but yeah.
So, they are 6 years apart. All right, so I don't know. So for whatever reason,
you just lump all season premieres together.
Exactly.
You're like, it's this one. It's Stark Raving Dad.
It's Hank Scorpio.
Yeah.
So
they're all jumbled around up there.
No, I thought that was it. And I remember finding it really funny, and that's why I was excited about
this episode or just the opening.
The St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
I honestly didn't remember anything the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But I remember it being really funny, and now I realize like. I didn't think it was these. There's only really two moments in the entire thing I found funny.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to explain why I've been hyping this episode up. It was pretty much just because of the Northern Irish
the two
leprechaun.
leprechauns, yeah.
Yeah, like the orange Northern Irish leprechaun and the green leprechaun fighting.
Yeah. That's your St. Patrick's moment.
So yeah, that's
two sides of Ireland fighting with leprechauns.
As a completely non-Irish, like there's a great grandfather I think is
right.
on my mom's side is Irish.
Well, I'll represent the Irish for today.
So
I'm
as
half Irish.
as a non-representative Irish, that is my St. Patrick's Day. That's what I equate. But anyway, I'm sorry for once again letting everybody down with my expectations.
You've ruined us again, Picone, O'Picone, Jack O'Picone.
Jack O'Picone with my thick Irish accent.
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, it opens up with this St. Patrick's Day parade. It's the first non-alcoholic St. Patrick's Day parade in Springfield history. So everybody's kind of in a bad mood, and apparently, according to the mayor, they forgot how much they hate. Usually, the drinking makes them forget how much they hate each other.
Yeah,
so,
which was a funny line.
So they all remember so they're all cantankerous, and apparently, Springfield's rather large Northern Irish contingent.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Basically, it leads to the parade leads to two separate plots. It leads to a Homer plot where Homer becomes a bounty hunter with Ned Flanders of all people.
Yep.
And where Marge becomes a baker. She realizes about midway through the episode that it's an erotic bakery.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where it goes. It doesn't really go anywhere with it.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, she just realizes she's an erotic baker. I guess she stays an erotic baker. The episode doesn't really...
Yeah, there's no real end to that storyline.
So I guess we'll call that the B plot.
There's hardly an end to the Homer storyline, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, and then the A plot is Homer and Flanders start to like each other. They become good partners. Eventually they have a falling out, and then Flanders is assigned to catch Homer because Homer jumped bail.
Right.
And he does, sort of. I guess he wins, and the episode ends with Homer in jail.
Yep.
So,
and that's the new status quo for the next 6 seasons. Homer in jail and Marge cooking up erotic cakes.
that's that. Isn't that Orange is the New Black?
Yeah.
They just changed the title?
That's exactly it. You had Jason Biggs making erotic cakes.
Jason Biggs is Orange is the New Black?
Yeah, he's the boyfriend or fiance.
Oh, good for him.
You don't watch Orange is the New Black?
Not yet. It's on the list.
You know, I'm a season behind.
You haven't watched House of Cards.
I haven't watched House of Cards.
You can only pick one Netflix original to watch at a time.
I've watched Kimmy Schmidt there, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I didn't watch that.
Kimmy Schmidt? Ooh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that, Tina Fey. Don't send your goons after me.
The Tina Fey goons
they're coming. Weekend update. They're coming. I don't know. What does that mean? Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt's a really good shit, man. Goddamn. It's a good show. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt's a good show.
If Freud was listening, he would say that you didn't like the show.
I did. It was a very good show. My wife and I watched it within the span of like 8 hours. All of it.
All right.
Anyway, that's the episode in a nutshell. Let's start talking about it kind of piece by piece. I want to start off with, since it's our St. Patrick's Day episode, let's talk about this Irish parade. Actually, now that I realized halfway through me saying that there was something before that, I wanted to just quickly mention the couch gag.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a great couch gag. The family sits down on the couch, and then they're frozen in carbonite, and a very articulated Boba Fett, very well animated Boba Fett comes in and takes them away.
Yeah, and looks at the camera, I think, as he takes them away. It was maybe a beat too long, but as a huge Star Wars nerd, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it too, and it was actually Boba Fett. It wasn't like Moba Meth.
Right.
From like, what Cosmic Wars they call it?
Yeah, you're right. That's a really good point. The fact that they didn't freeze him in oxygenite.
You don't want to be frozen on oxygenite. That would mess you up. So that was a good quick couch gag. Maybe it'd be too long, but it was a good one. So then we start off, and it's St. Patrick's Day, and we're at a parade.
I'm very envious. I can't do accents.
Oh, you can't do accents, can you, laddie?
No, I can't.
Oh, look over there, off in the distance. I don't know what I'm saying. It's slowly turning into a grandmother.
I've done some acting and I did some improv, and it was always a huge detriment that I like this is it. This is all I got.
Well, you have three accents you can do.
That's right. We used to make fun of me in high school because I had accent A, accent B, and accent C, and it's no point in doing any of them for you.
Yeah, because they're all out of context. They make no sense.
They were all specific people. One was a fellow student, a classmate. One was a teacher.
Yeah,
and I don't know what the other one was. But
I don't know. I think it was just a normal voice.
Yes, that's the three. I had three voices. I had normal voice, and then impression A and impression B.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with my multi-talented throat, we can sound like there's many people here. Like, hello, what's all this then? A podcast being recorded?
Get out of here.
All right, I'll go back out this door. Where am I?
Wait, I can do sound effects.
It's a good thing I closed that door then. So we said we ate Popeyes, right?
We made that clear, and we've had a couple of Guinness Blondes.
Yeah, right. Yes, we have, which are pretty good. They've grown on me now that we've had a few of them.
I prefer. They're not bad. I prefer
the brunettes. You know what I'm saying? My wife's a brunette.
That makes it okay. Yeah. You're allowed to sleep with other women as long as they have the same hair color as your wife.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know why I married Sinead O'Connor.
Did someone call for Sinead O'Connor? Is that what she sounds like? I don't even know.
That is. That's exactly.
Of course that's what I sound like.
My favorite Sinead.
Why am I so far off, Mike?
My favorite Sinead O'Connor role was in Mrs. Doubtfire as Mrs. Doubtfire.
It was a run by fruiting. Now I'm just quoting Mrs. Doubtfire. What's happening?
As Sinead O'Connor.
Yes, as Sinead O'Connor.
Oh, man, it's going to be one of those.
She ripped up a picture of the Pope.
No, I can see the 3 angry Facebook comments now. Sinead O'Doubtfire.
Anyway, this episode starts off with a parade, a St. Patrick's Day parade, and it starts off, there's a couple of things that are fine, but one of the big thing I wanted to talk about with it was Bart says, I don't even remember what it's in context for.
The Northern Irish show up first.
I think it was even before that. Like, Bart said something happened, and Bart was like, where's the IRA when you need them?
I think it was because the Northern Irish showed up, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I think so. You want to fight about it?
Yes, I do.
No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, because I have the Northern Ireland stuff later in my notes.
I thought this scene was from Bonfire of the Manatee. So
That's true.
So who knows?
Whatever.
I am not. Don't consider me a viable source
for an episode we literally just watched.
Like in general, just don't consider me your source for anything Simpsons or 90s television.
Or really anything. Just, you don't know who you are, where you are.
I could do mediocre door sounds or impressions of our religion teacher.
Oh, wait, hang on.
That's about it.
I got to open this door real quick, Jack. It's one of those comedy doors with the clunk at the end. Did someone open this door up for me? What's all this then?
Get out of here, Sinead O'Doubtfire and British guy and Cockney.
Did someone call for me?
No.
Oh, no. Now I've missed my bus back home. I'll have to stay here.
All right, so maybe it was the Northern Irish, maybe it wasn't, whatever. So Bart's talking and
Right. Regardless, Bart says to something, "Where's the IRA when you need them?" And an IRA guy comes out and he's like, "Oh, I don't even remember what he said."
the double-decker bus goes by.
Right,
and he goes, "Oh, in the olden days, I'd be all over that."
Yeah, that was a pretty dark joke, I thought. This was only a few years after I think the IRA had stopped their campaign of terror.
Right. They are, again, the IRA. I don't know the specifics of the history of the IRA,
right.
But at least.
They're bad people. We know that much.
Well, even just in general, they're associated as being terrorists. I don't know if they're still kind of an organization now and they're not terrorists. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't follow Irish history.
Well, the Wikipedia
or Irish
page.
current events, but
the ambassador. Do you know the ambassador of Ireland to the United Kingdom is named Dan Mulhall?
Really?
Yes, he is.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah. I get his email sometimes, actually. It's weird.
There's a photographer, a very famous Australian photographer named Jack Picone.
Really?
Yeah, if you Google image me, there's usually just like photos of nude Africans. And
well, I'm going to Google it right now.
and I actually emailed him once. He has an email, jackpicone@jackpicone.com or something like that.
That's a good email.
And I emailed him, was like, "Hey, my name's also Jack Picone. Can I have a jackpicone.com email?" I was like, you can make me like Jackie P and Jack Picone. And he just emailed me back once, and he just said, he goes, yes, I guess, he's like, I've seen you I've seen you before, I've seen references to your name before.
That's kind of creepy.
And he goes, it's rather...
it's rather alarming, isn't it? To see someone with your name. That's not an Australian accent. I don't know what that was.
He might not even be Australian. I don't know.
That was Daphne from Frasier.
He's like, yeah, it's annoying. Sometimes you come up, and I was like, I'm sorry that you're way more famous than I am. And every once in a while, if you go to the 4th page of your Google, my Simpsons thing shows up. I'm sorry, but whatever. That was whatever. He never got back to me. He never gave me an @jackpicone.com email.
Well, everyone email jackpicone @jackpicone.com.
I wonder if this Dan Mulhall guy is nicer. Maybe I could just get jackpicone @danmulhall.com as my email.
I don't know if I still do, but I did own danmulhall.com for a while. Yeah. Just because I was like, I'm not going to do anything with it, but I don't want anyone else to have it. The IRA thing, apparently it caused a bit of an uproar in Ireland, but we've spent too much time talking about this already. Let's just move on. It's on Wikipedia if you just want to look it up.
Yeah, no, so the bus line is dark because it's basically like, I really want to blow up that double-decker bus full of innocent people. So that by itself is dark. But even Bart's line, where's the IRA when you need them? I mean...
It's a little cold.
So, yeah, it's ridiculous. It'd be like if you had, a bunch of Americans or whatever, and just where's Al-Qaeda when you need it?
It's like if Bart was at a parade for mutants and he was like, where's the Mutant Liberation Front when you need them? Am I right?
Exactly,
And then Strife shows up and blows everyone away.
That's a metaphor I can get behind.
That's exactly. That's what you were looking for.
So no, it was very. I don't want to be too prudish, but it was surprising.
It was. I understand why the people of Ireland were very offended by that, and I think it was justifiably so. It's not so funny that it justifies the outrage and that that's Bart wishing terrorism on other people. I
think it's one of those cultural things where just because we're kind of distant from it and insulated, that it's not nearly as offensive as it probably should be.
Yeah,
I wasn't really personally offended. I just could tell that it was offensive.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so that's it for the IRA thing. But there were a lot of other things I liked in the parade thing. A lot of quick things. All of the floats in the St. Patrick's Day parade I thought were hysterical. Yeah. The best one was the potato boy. It was Irish boy most representing a potato, and it's just this fat kid who did look like a potato.
That's like classic, just Simpsons animation, funny. We've said before, I think, that the HD animation and then even the newer. The post-90s animation, the better end of the SD, they kind of lost something when it got the cleaner look.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with computers did more than hand-drawn or something like that.
I think now it's all computer animated.
But
I don't know if it's any hand-drawn animation anymore.
So they've lost a lot of funny looks. It just doesn't have that quite... charm to it. But Potato Boy sure did. It reminded me of the people who look like things.
Yeah, right. I thought this whole episode was actually pretty well animated. There were a lot of good sequences that we will get to talking about, but just on the parade floats, there was also the smallest Irish family, and it was like an old drunk and a harried housewife and just tons of kids.
Yeah.
And then it was the Catholic straight priests, and there were 2 of them.
And they awkwardly waving.
Yeah. So that was all funny. I liked that. And then I don't remember the context for this either, but out of nowhere, like a fight breaks out after the Northern Ireland and the regular Irish, parades intersect and
so
start
you have
fighting.
Everybody in like green outfits fighting everybody in orange outfits.
Yep, including two leprechauns. Then just out of nowhere, the Hulk and the Thing jump out and start fighting each other. Yeah. One of them being green and one of them being orange.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Whoever in the writers' room made that connection. It was brilliant.
That's a brilliant thing to pick up on. I also love that just for no reason there's just tons of Irish people in Springfield.
Yeah, well,
like not Irish descent, but look, like Hank Azaria's character who owns the Erotic Bakery, like is an Irish guy, and he like helps Marge with all these Irish Irish orphans just like running on the streets and stealing Marge's stuff.
Yeah,
all of them like straight out of Dickens and just
it's
not Dickens, maybe James Joyce or something. I don't know, Irish novelists.
I get what you're saying. They were orphans.
Yeah.
Dickens.
Hoy, the orphans running around the streets. This is James Joyce. Read Ulysses, everyone. Click through on Amazon and buy your copy.
By the way, we've hired the ghost of James Joyce to be our We were like, who would be the perfect spokesperson for worst episode ever, a Simpsons podcast? It was with Joe Namath, and then we went with ghost of James Joyce.
The ghost of James Joyce.
Yeah, no, it was the clear winner.
Yeah,
we were like, sorry, Matt Damon, the job's filled.
Get out of here, Matty Damon. Is this how James Joyce talks? All I know about James Joyce is that he wrote Ulysses.
I believe he died drinking from...
He did. He was a heavy drinker.
Do you want another beer?
Yeah, let's get more beer.
Me? A professional baker's employee? Imagine how different...
Will you bake for me?
Me? A professional baker's employee? Imagine how different my life would be. Here we are at school, kids.
Hey, what are those boxes in the back?
Cakes.
See ya.
I'll do it.
Yeah, so this guy saves Marge from the orphans. They stole her pastries or whatever, and he tastes one of her cupcakes, and he thinks it's a really good cupcake. You know, if Marge is a good cook. They've hinted at it before, I believe.
Yeah.
Although they've also, obviously the show's inconsistent. There's also times where the show hints that she's just a regular housewife and has no, the special ingredient is salt, stuff like that, which is inherently funnier.
Yeah.
But sure, Marge's a great chef. I believe it. A great pastry cook.
Yeah, that works for me.
It's been referenced at least in a few episodes where it's crucial to the plot, I can think of in the newer episodes. So he hires her to work in his bakery.
Right. And what Marge doesn't know is that it's an erotic bakery. She'll find that out later. Should we just talk about the whole Marge plot now?
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to say, before we get in the erotic bakery, we got to talk about that, the reason she signs on.
Yeah, so he says, Marge, would you like to come work in my bakery? And she goes, I wonder how different my life would be if I were a baker. And it goes to a fantasy dream sequence kind of thing. And Marge is dropping off Lisa and Bart at school.
Yeah, it's like a wide shot of the school.
Yeah.
And then the station wagon
cut to
pulls
them
out.
in the car, in the station wagon, and there's boxes filled in the back. And Lisa just goes, what's all these boxes? And Marge is just like, it's cakes. And they're like, all right, bye. And they just leave, and that's the end.
I loved it because they
loved it.
That's one of my favorite gags I think I've seen since we started recording the show.
Yeah.
Because they set it up. It wasn't just a great joke. They did such a good job executing it. By having the wide shot of the school and then cutting it and playing everything normal. And before Lisa says, what are these boxes? They're like, all right, bye, Mom. Off to school, whatever.
Yeah.
They really, where I was like, where's the joke? What's going on? And then the joke is that nothing is different.
There's no joke.
Except
Her
cakes.
life is the same. It's just boxes.
And then Julie Kavner's delivery is amazing. She just goes, cakes! And it just ends. And that's the perfect Marge fantasy because it's Marge. And to her, that little difference
it makes all the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're new to the podcast, we love Marge. And we love moments like this where Marge is just Marge. She's just this weird...
with a little
weird woman who's lovable.
Yeah, she finds the smallest things to be happy about and the smallest victories in a pretty standard middle class American life where in general things are shit. But
that's right. Yeah, let's just talk about all the Marge stuff and get that out of the way.
So she works at this bakery. She seems to be pretty happy. The boss is very happy that she's doing a good job. And then it finally dawns on her. He finally reveals to her that she's working in an erotic bakery.
Yes.
And then she's actually making like penis and
Yeah,
So,
he says something
actually,
about like you're only making like circular cakes.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about this. I didn't remember this erotic cake thing at all. And the way they reveal it is, she goes, "Why are they all rod shaped and wedge shaped?"
Yeah.
And whatever. And at this point, I still didn't get the joke. And then finally, I get it. So
Yeah.
now I can't quite remember what the shapes were. But I think one was a semicircle. Well, what is that? Is that the vagina?
A semicircle? Is it like a butt cheek?
Like a half circle, wasn't there? Is that what it was? A butt cheek?
Maybe. I don't remember a
Guess-
semicircle.
I don't want to sound like a prude or anything, but
Oh, you don't know about the semicircle?
I thought maybe I was missing something.
Oh, you're missing something, all right. Get a little of that semicircle action. Oh, yeah.
Like it looked like the Lucky Charms to me, to be honest.
Right. But I do remember when she finds out what the cakes are, what the
Yeah.
erotic bakery is. She looks around and sees there's like different torsos, like
Yeah,
a ripped
yeah.
guy with a chest, a woman's torso with like a lingerie on it, and then she looks and she sees a bin, I guess, that just says "day old wangs."
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, they love the word wang.
They really do.
Like they just use it anytime they can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It sort of worked for me here because it's an erotic bakery.
Yeah.
And it like kind of made sense, and it was very quick. It was just like, wangs is a funny word.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It is a funny word. I guess they find it particularly funny. Maybe the way I'm trying to think of what is the most amusing word I have for penis.
Yeah.
I think wiener.
Wiener's pretty funny.
Wiener's pretty funny.
Wiener.
Pee-pee. Peachy.
Ding dong.
Yeah, did you ever hear peachy?
I heard Pichi. Yeah,
'cause-
yeah. I think it's an Italian.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I grew up in an Italian family, and
Yeah.
my dad he knows Joe Pesci. He's not friends with him or anything. But he knows him.
Whoa, name
And-
dropper cast here.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I hate to drop names, but it's kind of necessary to the story.
Well, we actually have a special guest. It's Joe Pesci.
Oh.
Hey, I'm over here now. I'm Joe Home Alone. What's a movie I was in? All right, I'm gonna leave.
Okay, I'm
It's
glad.
good to see you, Jackie.
I'm glad he left.
Jacko.
I'm glad he left because
I'm still here. Haven't left yet.
it's pretty
Remember
crucial.
Home Alone 2? Anyone ever seen Gone Fishing?
It's pretty crucial to my story that Joe Pesci's not present when I tell it.
All right, I'm going to open this door. And now I'm gone.
So anyway, I used to make a joke when I was like 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I thought I guess I had a knack for puns even then. And I used to say to my dad, I was like, more like Joe Pesci. And I thought that was funny.
Ah,
And
okay.
then my dad said he was going to tell Joe Pesci that.
Oh, man.
And it scared the hell out of me. I was like, don't tell him that. He'll kill me.
Yeah.
Which is funny because my uncle did something similar. This has nothing to do with Joe Pesci, Irish, anything.
Okay.
But, my uncle.
So it's relevant to the podcast.
My uncle used to scare the hell out of me, and like he used this as a tactic to like discipline me.
Uh-huh.
Like anytime I misbehaved, he would just threaten me with this. For whatever reason, he said. Now this is actually a complete lie. He said he was best friends with Marc Summers from Double Dare, and he said that he was gonna put me on the show. And as you know, ironically, even though I co-host this radio show with you, I have like crazy stage fright, and like I'm just really nervous, and like the idea of being on Double Dare just frightened the shit out of me. So like if I was just like being too loud or annoying, he would be like, "I'm calling Marc Summers right now," and he would like pick up the phone.
What a ridiculous
and I would
lie.
just start crying. And I was like, "No, don't call Marc Summers. I don't want to do the physical challenge." And like it was, and I didn't dawn on me until like, because then so now I'm in my teens. I probably just forgot about it. And then
Yeah.
like one day I was like 24 years old. I was like, wait a second, he didn't know Marc Summers.
It finally all came
It
connected
just
together.
connected, yeah.
He doesn't know Marc Summers at all. That's
Is
my
that your
impersonation
Jacko?
of you.
Is that your Jacko?
That's my Jacko. He doesn't know Marc Summers. I don't want to be on Double Dare.
He's going out that door.
Man, did somebody open the door for Joe Pesci to come back in?
No, it's
All right.
still closed.
Remember Goodfellas? What a good movie, am I right? Raging Bull. Another movie I was in. Lethal Weapon 4. Where have I been lately? I'm not in no many movies anymore. 8 heads in a duffel bag. I'll see you all later.
But that's basically it. At one point, there's another scene where Homer finds out. I guess we should talk about that.
Okay.
So the way Homer finds out is Marge goes, "Did you eat?" Or Homer goes. Homer says, "Oh man, those extra long Twinkies were really good." And then Marge freaks out. She's like, "Oh no, those were for Smithers' party." You know, because Smithers is gay.
Smithers
wanted a
is
big penis.
what was it? His commitment ceremony.
Right.
Yeah.
So she freaks out because Homer ate her cakes, which just makes sense.
Par for the course.
Homer's
Classic Simpsons.
Homer's gonna eat her job thing,
Yep.
and then and then she's like freaks out, and then Homer goes, "Hey, what's wrong?" And then she's like, "I work for an erotic cakes." It's like, wait a second.
Yeah, it was out of nowhere.
Why is he like? He should just be like, "Oh, you're upset because I ate your cakes for Smithers' party." He shouldn't be like, "Hey, what's wrong? You seem like you're stressed about a job you have that you don't want." So Homer finds out. But it has no effect on either A plot or B plot. He just kind of finds out that she's an erotic cake, and then I think that's pretty much the last. It has nothing to do with her storyline. It doesn't she doesn't have any reconsiderations, and I think that might be the last thing that has anything to do with her story. There's a very
Until the
very end,
very,
she brings
very
a
end,
cake,
yeah.
But she has no real qualms about doing it. She doesn't ever stop doing it.
No,
As the
yeah, she's still
the
there.
episode ends with her still there.
Right.
It didn't really. There was no conflict. I mean,
None at all. It was Marge is like, I'm a little uncomfortable working at an erotic bakery, but I'm still gonna do it, and then nothing.
yeah, I mean,
that was it.
that's story 101 is to have some kind of conflict. And at first,
Yeah.
Marge had some reservations, but she got over that, and then it just kind of.
And then it was just she was sort of trying to hide it from the family, but not really. And then
Yeah.
Homer just asks her about it out of nowhere, point blank. There was also that scene where Homer suggests that Marge make a cake for Lisa's birthday, and Marge slaps him. Do you
Yeah.
remember this?
Yeah.
And then Marge, to cover her tracks of like, oh, why would I slap Homer because she doesn't want to say that she works in an erotic bakery? She's like, oh, it's a muscle spasm. And then she starts smacking herself,
It was the
and then smacks him again.
It was the same joke from Seinfeld where George does the elbow
Right, does
thing.
the elbowing. Yeah.
But she just smacked
I
herself
just-
a few times, and it was just weird and not
It was just
funny.
weird. It was just, it was
Yeah,
nothing.
I don't know what it was, but yeah,
nothing for me. But anyway,
the plot literally went.
The plot just tapered off, and then that was it. So there's your sex pies part of the episode title.
I really think they just did that. They shoehorned it in, pop, because they needed it for the pun.
Yeah.
for the sex lies and
And you might
videotape.
be right. They were probably just like, we got like 5 minutes to fill in this episode. What can we make Marge do? Sex pies?
I mean, it's not really the best theory because that means that they had idiot scrapes first.
That was the original name of the episode. It was just Idiot Scrapes.
It's like, what we have a Homer and Flanders. They're going to be, we were watching Dog the Bounty Hunter. We want to do an episode like that. We'll have Homer and Flanders be bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Obviously, the title should be Idiot Scrapes.
Clearly.
But
It's the logical title.
yeah. But where do we put it in the sex pies?
But where do we go put Idiot Scrapes and Sex Pies? Is that a thing? Is that something?
That's not a movie
I don't
people
know.
recognize.
I don't know. All right, so let's double back and we'll talk just about the Homer storyline here. So Homer is arrested after the St. Patrick's Day parade. Everyone breaks out into a fight. Basically, the whole town is arrested because there's like a long line of people going out the courtroom. And before Homer's brought up, actually, they have the Incredible Hulk is brought up. Well, it's not the Incredible Hulk. He says his name is Mulk.
Yeah, he talks in third person like Hulk, and he says, "Mulk, sorry."
They don't want to get sued by
Yeah,
Marvel.
so,
Fox
again-
certainly can't take on Marvel.
And this is just, we talked about this last week. We talked about it in a deleted scene from The Man Who Came to Be Dinner. But it's really frustrating when they change the name of a very well-known property for no reason, because it's not a copyright issue. You're allowed to parody you're allowed to say the name. He doesn't need to say. He could say Hulk. It's fine. But he says Mulk, and it sucks because like we said, the Thing versus Hulk little scene they had there, that little joke was really
perfect.
funny.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of like took away from it, like posthumously, like after the joke.
Yeah.
It kind of, like the Matrix sequels, like it was really great, and then it kind of made the original joke kind of weaker by being shitty later.
Yeah.
It's just like, come on, Mulk.
And then I'm like, oh man, so the Hulk lives in Springfield, but this is named Mulk, and he like goes to court and stuff.
then he makes and then the only reason they bring him back is for a really lame joke where he says he basically says in downtown Springfield he can't get a fair trial.
He
green
wants a change of venue
and it's basically just saying, I guess it's a race thing, and it was just
You had us. You had us with this thing just fighting the Hulk on a St. Patrick's Day parade.
When are they
so
going to
good.
learn? They just have to do some Marvel references for Dan.
I know,
They don't
it's
actually
so
have
good.
they don't need any wit. They don't need any humor.
No, just like Spider-Man swings by and he's just like, hey, everyone. And it's just like, wow, Spider-Man was here.
Fives all around.
Yeah, done. Best episode ever.
Yeah, so Mulk, that sucked.
Yeah, so that was no good. So anyway, Homer gets put out on bail, and he goes to a bail bondsman who is played by Robert Forster.
Yeah. Who's great for The Simpsons because he has one of the best voices ever.
Has a fantastic
Do your
voice.
Robert Forster for us.
Okay, Homer, you got the bail bond. All right, I'm not good with Robert Forster voices, but my Joe Pesci is killer. Did somebody call for Joe Pesci? Over there.
Get out of here, Joe Pesci.
All right, I gotta wait for my bus, though.
Why do they all take the bus?
Tell me about it. These buses run very infrequently.
Yeah, it is Bay Ridge.
That's true. Yeah, so Robert Forster. Robert Forster, the actor, plays the bounty hunter, which is the same role that he played in the Quentin Tarantino movie Jackie Brown.
Yeah, he's basically playing the same character.
Right, Mark Cherry from that movie. Was his name Mark Cherry? No, that was Mark Cherry. Mark Cherry created Desperate Housewives.
That's not the same.
Max Cherry. Max Cherry was his name. Yeah. What do you think about Jackie Brown?
I haven't seen it in 10, 12 years.
That's
I have
damn good movie.
I can't say. I liked it when I saw it. I don't remember. I gotta give
That's underrated film.
I gotta give it another shot.
I remember we watched it together the first time I saw it. I really did not like it.
You were not in the mood.
But
there's so many great movies that we watched together. Not me and you specifically, but me, you, and our group of friends from high school.
From high school, yeah.
And we didn't like them. Like Barton Fink. Did you watch Barton Fink?
Oh yeah, I love Barton Fink now.
When we watched it, we were all miserable.
Maybe I didn't watch it
because
with you.
It's when you have like 8 17-year-olds in a basement.
No, you're not there for the wit of Barton Fink.
Exactly. Do you remember I tried to get everybody to watch Gosford Park, and I became like public enemy number one for weeks?
Yeah, I hated Gosford Park, and I have yet to rewatch it, but I've heard such good things about it. I
know.
need to do that.
I was pretty much like banished from like everybody was like the
like you
vitriol.
couldn't pick movies for a long
Everybody
time.
was so mad at me, and I was just
it's-
like, I heard good things.
Robert Altman is a famous director. That's one of your voices, by the way. It's voice number
You
B.
took my voice. Now I've got nothing.
Now I've captured your soul with your voice.
You'll never take my door impression ability.
So yeah, Robert Forster is there playing the bail bondsman, and he has like maybe 3 lines.
Yeah.
So I looked up the Wikipedia page right before we watched this just to get the the air date and the info on these episodes.
Who says we don't do our research?
That's right. We go to Wikipedia. It's literally the least we can do. But I saw that this episode had Robert Forster and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I was like, okay, this episode can't be all that bad because I like both of them.
Supporting cast, yeah.
Robert Forster has 3 lines, has no bearing on the plot other than to bail Homer out and make Homer... Actually, he doesn't even do that. I was going to say he puts Homer on the path to become a bounty hunter, but Wolf, the bounty hunter, actually does that.
Yeah.
And Julia Louis-Dreyfus has 1 line.
Yeah.
And she's some sort of character who apparently is a recurring character who I've never seen
She's
before.
been a few episodes. She's in one main episode, which we got to rewatch. I don't remember hating it, where she dates Mr. Burns, but she's Snake's girlfriend.
Fair enough.
And it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, so it's pretty funny. I think she's kind of performing in the Jan Hooks Manjula role, where they just give her a line. She's they treated her like she was regular cast. Which I don't mind. I didn't mind that.
That's fine. It was just strange to me because I'm like, oh, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, it was a letdown for you.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. But no, not when she just says, okay, Snake. Like, that's her only line.
$1 million.
Here you go, Mrs. Dreyfus. Oh, thank you. I played late on Seinfeld.
Wait, is Julia Louis her first name, or is Louis Dreyfus her last name?
I think she's Julia-Louis Dreyfus. No, that can't be right.
And she's related to the Dreyfus from the Dreyfus Affair, right? Not Dreyfus the dog from Empty Nest.
You know what's sad? That was the first thing I thought you were going to say, is Dreyfus the dog from Empty Nest.
Now you just assume anything out of my mouth, the first thing you think is it's going to be an Empty Nest
Here
reference.
comes an Empty Nest reference. Yeah, so I don't know what her real name is. It's Julia, some combination of the letters Julia,
we know
Louis,
the initials are
Dreyfus.
JLD.
JLD.
We don't know her
We're big
personally. Give us a
fans.
break.
Well, I know her personally.
Well, my dad actually was friends with her in the early 90s.
Okay, so yeah, so Homer gets bailed out by the bail bondsman, and then he meets a bounty hunter named Wolf, who is basically Dog the Bounty Hunter. It's the same exact, character.
Dog was very... When did this episode air?
2008, I think.
Yeah, so Dog was fairly big at the time.
Yeah, I never got into Dog the Bounty Hunter, but, whatever.
Your
Some people liked
loss.
it. Whatever. But I thought it was, he comes in and he's like, it's the life of a bounty hunter. And Homer's just like, what's that entail? And he, tells him it's about, chasing criminals and greasy spoons and dirt bars and things like that. And then Homer's just like, well, I'm going to become a bounty hunter.
Yep,
to me, it seemed like the fastest Homer was ever like, this is a thing I could be. I'm going to be this thing.
Yeah.
They've probably done it faster.
I mean, I was going to say, I've watched more newer ones than you have.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely been faster than that because they even make a joke where he's like, well, you can't just become a bounty hunter. You have to go take an online course. And the joke is like, oh, you got to take an online course. But then they do a joke on top of the joke where it goes, actually, they canceled that. And he goes, but you have to pay a $10 fee. And then they do a
but
joke
you
on
could probably
top.
get out of that.
So, but just so not only do you have two jokes and two jokes on top of those jokes, I'm pretty sure there's got to be at least one episode where there wasn't. It was literally just he has a job now. Where they just, they hand him the keys to the tow truck. Which is an episode
that's the
been
opening
suggested.
Scene? Oh, really?
Yeah, he becomes a tow truck driver.
Oh,
but
man.
I feel like at least one of those one of those jobs he just got, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, however it happens, Homer becomes a bounty hunter. And there was a scene, it's the end of the first act, where Homer's chasing Snake down. That's where Julia Louis-Dreyfus came in. Homer runs a sting operation to bring Snake in, and he's chasing him down, and Snake pulls a gun on Homer. And I want to talk a little bit about this. Okay. He's got a gun pointed at Homer's head, and he's like, I'm going to shoot you. And Homer just keeps talking and talking about I shouldn't have been a bounty hunter, and blah, 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 and all this. And he just keeps going and ranting and ranting and ranting, which sort of makes sense, but I was just like, there is no perceived danger at all to Homer. Obviously, I know Snake's not going to shoot him as a viewer of the show, but as suspension of disbelief, just in the fiction that this show is creating, there should be some dramatic tension. Homer's got a gun pointed at him,
like when Snake is in the same pretty much alley in season 3
season
when he
with
was
Bart.
going to run over Bart with his car.
Bart's not going to get run down in 1991 when Bart is at the height of his power culturally. But it was like this tense moment where it's like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Well, I didn't feel that in this at all.
You're right. You're right. I don't really ever think about that kind of stuff because I don't think I ever feel that ever. But I feel like they tried to do it after he finally starts talking, whatever his stupid jokes that were coming out.
After Snake actually shoots.
Because then he shoots.
And it goes into bullet time.
Yeah, and it comes very close to hitting him in the head, and then that's when it goes to commercial.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, how are you going to get out of that? It was kind of almost unsettling to see because it was so close to his head. It was I mean, again, I know he's not going to die, but the idea that Homer getting shot point blank in the head is a grisly image.
It's definitely grisly, but I guess my problem is that Homer has a gun pointed at him from a known felon, and his solution to the problem is to just rant and rave like a stupid idiot.
Yeah, devil's advocate.
Makes sense,
I agree.
He's
but
Homer.
Devil's advocate, season 7 when Marge becomes a cop.
Yeah, season 6, my friend.
Oh, is it season 6?
Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck. And I even thought about it too.
The Springfield connection.
Springfield connection. So Herman pulls a gun on him and says, not so fast. And Homer goes, okay. And he walks slowly.
Down.
Now that's hilarious.
Yes.
But it's the same kind of...
Well,
he's got a gun on him. He could.
It
Herman
is and
could
it
kill
isn't.
him.
If you catch my meaning.
Well,
no. Homer's still trying to get out of the situation. He's just doing it in a jokey way, as opposed to.
But
just
he doesn't seem
standing
scared. Or is he just really stupid?
I don't know. I feel like there's a very fine line between cartoony stupid and believably stupid on this cartoon show. That's basically for babies now.
Watchmen babies?
Watchmen babies.
V for Vacation.
V for Vacation. The funniest Alan Moore related joke The Simpsons ever did. But the way they get out of it, like you said, they shoot. Snake actually does shoot at Homer's head, and the bullet deflects off of his head. And we're like, oh my god, how did that happen? It's because Flanders was there holding a piece of bulletproof glass in front of Homer's face.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no reason. The loose reason they give is as Flanders says in the St. Patrick's Day parade riot, his store window was broken, which doesn't make sense because his store is in the mall.
On the second floor, I believe.
On the second floor of the mall. But you see him carrying this plate glass window in the alleyway.
And where, why is it in front of Homer's face? He's in a very narrow alley. So
it's a very convenient.
So I mean, think of it. Okay, this is obviously really nitpicking, but
Yeah.
I wish this was a video podcast for the 5 seconds, even though I have a horrible stage fright.
Yeah.
But so you have Homer on one end, you have Snake on the other. This
Homer's
very
on one end, yep.
very narrow. So now you have this big plate glass window that is about as wide as the alley, and Flanders is holding it between the two. So I'm assuming he's bringing it into the store to replace the window.
Right.
So that means he had to have somehow gotten in front of Homer in the first place to start backing up. You see what I'm saying? He had to do like a kind of a K-turn.
Like a K-turn,
like,
yeah.
Like it's just
Like he's just like carrying this glass and he's like,
unless-
Homer needs me, and like I'll just like back up and then go forward.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really.
It doesn't really make sense. But he must have. He could have been going inside. I feel like we're examining it like this a Zapruder film. He couldn't have been going inside.
He was back and to the left.
Kind of was.
And to the left.
He couldn't have been going out or inside because, as we all know, the Leftorium, Ned Flanders' store, is in the Springfield Mall.
Yeah.
And they actually cut to it in the next scene and show it in the mall.
And it is in the same spot in the mall on the second floor.
So I guess he's coming out of the glass store, which led out into this alley.
Oh, that makes more sense.
That must, because we were both confused.
And he's just carrying the window.
We put on our Genius at Work shirts, and we were like, "No, this cannot be."
Yeah, I mean, like I thought they were maybe in an alley, like in the back of the entrance to the mall. But it was like, why is there a mall with a tiny little out like that?
Right,
they
right.
were clearly in like a Main Street type of.
Yep.
But no, that makes more sense. Okay, I'll take that.
He must have been taking it out.
All
Why
right,
he's taking the side entrance out of the glass door, I don't know. But
why he's not having it shipped by Amazon, just drones. You know,
he should click through WePodcast.com.
He should have ordered his plate glass window through We.
And guys,
Amazon.
if you need to order a plate glass window,
do it on Amazon.
Do it on Amazon
through
WePodcast.com. You can click any of those banners. Anyway, so yeah, Flanders saves Homer's life, and he's got to put this window back in. And I noticed they have a scene in the mall where Homer's talking to Flanders and actually convincing him to become a bounty hunter with him. I don't really know why.
Yeah,
that was never really explained.
Homer really wanted Flanders on his team.
I guess he wanted a partner, and he's like, I guess I don't hate Flanders today. So whatever, we'll be partners. But I just wanted to point out, because it's something that I always notice when they don't do it. When they were in the mall, all of the stores were like fleshed out and had funny names.
Well, they were fleshed out.
Oh, you didn't think they had funny names?
Just Vinegar was.
I saw Just Vinegars. I liked that. The other one I saw was Expensive Coffee in Little Cups.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought that was too obvious.
I thought that was all right.
I thought that was too easy.
And then Gum for Less I saw, which is one they've done before.
I like
feel like
Gum
that was
for
a
Less.
classic
I don't know. The coffee ones, it's like, we get it. Starbucks has expensive coffee.
Yeah.
The only one I even like was, I forget what season it was. It was a little later. Not later than this, but later than I started. Where it was all Starbucks in the mall, and then Bart goes to a store, and then they go, "Oh, you better hurry. We're going to be a Starbucks in 5 minutes." Yeah. And then he goes back, and it's a Star. Yeah, like I like that because it's like, yeah, Starbucks are everywhere. But that was in 2000, whatever, when Starbucks was just starting to take over.
Monopolize the entire universe.
I don't know. It's just easy to make those kinds of coffee jokes.
I guess I'm at the place where any attempt at a background gag,
you're right. No, I did appreciate.
I appreciate the effort. I thought Just Vinegars was funny.
Yeah, is there? Am I missing a joke? What's the joke?
What store? Surely no store would just sell vinegars, sir.
Have you been to Soho? They have stores that sell just anything at this point.
I guess artisanal vinegars.
It's like Portlandia made fun of it, didn't they? They had that sketch with all the earbuds. Tangled up.
That's a good one. Portlandia, good show.
I mean, like it's funny how eventually culture does become a joke in and of itself. If you go down to like the Lower East Side or downtown, it's amazing how many like
mustache comb shops.
No, maybe not that ridiculous, but like
they exist.
But food wise, it's amazing how now any kind of food has its own shop.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think. There was one where I was like. I was like, how the hell do you pay your rent? I don't understand. How do you have that many people a day buying? It was something super specific. I can't remember. It was like, this isn't it, but it was as if there was a store that just sold black and white cookies. But it wasn't that.
I like a good black and white cookie.
But like, I don't know. How do you pay your rent? I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't understand how businesses work. Like, how
That's
do you-
why we're doing this. And we're not making any money. We're somehow losing money.
We're definitely losing money, so please click through those Amazon
Buy those
links.
plate glass windows.
WePodcast.com. If you have like a big ticket item you need to buy, like a new computer or something,
Buy it.
you clicking through would pay for this podcast for the entire month. It really would.
By the way, we never thanked him on air. Somebody bought something nice. Somebody bought something like a couple of $100 worth. We don't know who. We don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it paid for the month. So
Yeah, we're
do
we're
more
always
of that.
appreciative of that.
Or she. I don't know.
Or she.
We appreciate that.
Okay, so Homer and Flanders become bounty hunters, and it turns out they're pretty good at it. There's a montage of them, hunting people down, set to Electric Avenue.
Yeah. Which bonus points
Which was
that
okay.
the song lasted more than 8 seconds.
Right.
It was montage length.
Yeah, and I guess the only reason they did Electric Avenue was because in the scene before, Homer was playing with a taser. And he was using it he electrocuted Ned's coffee to warm it up, and he electrocuted a Danish to melt the cheese inside.
Which I liked. At first I liked that gag, and then it went on too long.
It went on way too long, and then he sticks it down his pants
That
and
was
tries
terrible.
to walk, and
Yeah.
every time he gets shocked, and it was way too much.
I thought maybe they used it because there's one lyric in the song where it's like, in these violent streets.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I'm sure if 2 reasons is good enough.
Speaking of music used in this episode, there was another scene that I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Homer and Ned are on a stakeout, I think, looking for
Fat Tony?
For Fat Tony, yeah, you're right. And Homer says, "Let's listen to AC/DC."
Yeah.
And Ned says, "I want to listen to their Christian rock version, ADBC," which is an okay joke. It's fine. It works for me. But then Ned starts singing a song that they sing, which is "Kindly Deeds Done for Free."
And Homer just totally gets into it.
And Homer's so into it, and they just sing kindly deeds done for free. Kindly deeds and done for free.
Yeah, and then
We're just doing the bit now.
and they cut to a close up of the two of them, and they're staring at each other. Yeah,
I kind of loved that. I thought that was really funny.
I really liked it. Obviously, the lyrics aren't genius. It isn't amazing.
No, not at all. It's just flipping the song to make it about nice things.
But it was fun. The delivery was fun, and I really think the reason we responded it so well was just that it was nice. Almost, I feel
nice.
like there's just so many mean-spirited jokes in the newer Simpsons,
especially nowadays.
And it just takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah, and it was the unbridled enthusiasm with which Homer jumped onto this, and he was like, "Hey, this is fun," and he's just doing it. We're watching two characters have fun and be friends, and that's fun for the viewer.
Granted, you can do Homer being selfish to Ned and having great jokes. There's always great jokes. When he asked about the sander, he's like, "Oh,"
right,
stuff like that. But for whatever reason, the fact that this joke wasn't mean-spirited, it just sold it.
Totally.
It was one of the better moments of the show for sure.
Yeah, so Homer and Ned are on the stakeout. They're waiting for Fat Tony, and he ultimately does come out, and he runs onto the monorail. Did you notice this?
Well, it was a subway. It had more than one rail.
They called it a subway later, but it was the monorail.
It had 2 rails.
It was an elevated train,
but
and
we know
Springfield has a monorail.
Yeah, it was Springfield does not have an elevated train. It was in the exact spot. I mean, it was all for the French Connection.
Right, it was all set up to do a French Connection thing.
But you're right. It was the monorail.
Yeah, it was nice to see that. Rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
we still miss you. It's weeks later.
It's 3 weeks go by. You expect everybody to go, good.
So yeah, they do a French Connection beat where Homer and Flanders are driving, chasing Fat Tony, and there's a really funny scene where Selma, who was in the erotic bakery earlier, when Marge finds out it is an erotic bakery, she's holding an erotic cake that we don't see what it is, and she almost gets hit by a car and flings the cake up into the air. And then it cuts to Skinner and Chalmers, and Chalmers is just saying, that was a lovely meal, Skinner. Whatever dessert you put in front of me now, I'll know that's what you think of me, or something like that. And it just lands.
No, first he says, after 20 years, I think I'm finally starting to like you.
Right.
And then Skinner goes, well, I hope you like dessert. I made it with you in mind.
Yeah, right.
And then Chalmers, for no reason, just says, well, I'm going to close my eyes and wait for it to appear.
Right, and of course the cake comes flying in through the window and lands in front of Chalmers. Leads to an awkward moment between Skinner and Chalmers.
Yeah, and then Agnes comes in, and this is the best part of this. It felt so retro. It
did. I mean, it's basically the same joke beats as the 22 short stories about Springfield, Skinner and Chalmers bit.
It really is.
But hey, it worked there. It worked here with an erotic cake.
It just felt it was such a great retro Skinner Chalmers dynamic. and then Agnes comes in just like she did in their other interactions, and
Right, and she wasn't saying like, "I wish you were dead, Seymour."
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always great.
She's just like, "What's going on? I want to see."
Yeah.
Which is just like with the butts when everybody's mooning and
Right.
So for whatever reason, Chalmers is also invested in making sure that Agnes can't see it. So he's like, all right, why don't we just eat it really quickly before she sees it from both ends until our lips meet?
Yeah.
And which just added like a weird layer.
Weird twist on the end.
Yeah, which that was a little like I like the idea of them eating. If I would have been happier if he just said, let's eat it, like eat it from both ends. Like that was funny. Like to get rid of it. I don't know why they need the lips meet.
They had to hammer home the lips thing.
Yeah, but what?
It was fine. It worked for me. I liked it.
It was nice to see.
So at one point, Homer, he's doing well in his new job as a bounty hunter, and he brings home gifts for the kids. He brings home a chemistry set for Lisa that he took from a meth lab, and he gives Bart a bag of shell casings from bullets, and some of them still have bullets in them. And he says, if you hammer the ends of those shell casings, make sure to point it away from your sister. That's sort of a dangerous thing, because if you hit a bullet with a hammer, like it will fire. I think.
I don't know.
That's how bullets work. You hit the end with the pin and whatever. We don't need to explain how guns work on the Simpsons podcast. If I was watching that and I was some sort of troubled child, I might be like, oh, I'm going to get a bullet and hit it with a hammer and see what happens.
Saying, yeah.
And then on top of that, Homer, it was like a running thing throughout the episode, when he was catching the bad guys, he'd put a bag on their head and suffocate them.
Yeah.
And you know how like all bags say like, warning, choking hazard, not a toy.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason why they have it, because you can die if you put a bag over your head. And it just seemed like Homer being very reckless this episode. Not out of character for Homer, but just the weirdness of the two things.
Right. I wouldn't say out of character for new Homer, for post-classic Homer, where he's obviously a lot more selfish and dark and even worse of a father than he was in the 90s.
Right.
I didn't think about that element of teaching kids how to do things bad.
Maybe I'm just getting old.
I don't know. You're right. I mean, you're right.
Like, I don't have any kids, but if I did have kids and they watched this episode, I would be like, don't do what Homer did.
You wouldn't let your kids hammer the bullets and...
I mean, I might, but...
no,
someone else shouldn't.
No, you're right. I don't know. I feel like maybe you're overreacting. I don't, but...
Well, it just struck me because there were two things that it was like...
I mean...
I don't know. I don't know.
You're like, I could see a kid saying, "Oh, bag on the head. That's a good idea if you're playing." But I could also see a kid saying, "Well, that's stupid. That's a cartoon. I know not to do that. Just like I know not to fight the Hulk in a St. Patrick's Day parade or the."
Oh, if I see the Hulk at a St. Patrick's Day parade, he is going down.
That is an abomination.
I see what you did there.
See, I know a little comics.
I see where you Wendigo with that.
I don't know that one.
The Wendigo is a villain in the Marvel Comics universe.
I tried to step up and failed miserably.
Okay, Simpson, all your information checks out. I called your boss to verify your employment, and he says you're fired for getting arrested. You'd be amazed how often that happens.
Oh.
So, the whole Flanders Homer situation, I actually want to give this episode credit where it's due. Something that I really loved was having Homer get arrested and find out the world of bounty hunting through the fact that he himself, there was a bounty on him and a bond on him.
Yeah.
And then at the end, that comes back where suddenly Ned, his partner, has to hunt Homer.
Yeah.
I liked that.
It's a good twist.
It was a good twist, and it was like sort of set up. It was like a running thread through the whole episode, which it was basically the only running thread through the whole episode. And I just latch on to anything that shows any sort of attempt at
Take what you can
crafting
get.
a story in these later seasons. So I like that. It was a lot more effort than we're used to, especially like with more recent episodes we've been watching. Even if the whole Flanders dynamic to get to that point is a little bit rushed.
Right. Actually, it's the Robert Forrester line I wanted to bring up. The one other line he had.
Sure.
What I liked about it is that the reason Homer is Skip Bond and Skip Bale, and the reason he's on the bounty hunters list is because he was arrested with everybody else at St. Patrick's Day. So basically, I just like the fact that they brought back the
St. Patrick's Day part.
Even though it's very, very superficial, it was just nice to tie it all together again and like, it sets it all in this world, and it just grounds the story a little bit more.
Yeah, it's an attempt at tying everything together,
and
which
again,
I applaud.
Exactly, and we're just grasping at this.
We're grasping at whatever we can here.
So I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it culminates in this parkour chase scene where Homer runs and Flanders runs after him, and they're kind of jumping around and jumping off walls and running all through Springfield. What did you think of that? Did you like that?
So, I mean, I get that it was referencing action movie chases in general. I get that there was
especially around that time.
Yeah,
there were a lot of them.
I get that there was like
parkour
the
was
parkour
big.
references, like the District. What were we saying? District B.
District B13, yeah, the French movie.
The Casino Royale.
Casino Royale for sure.
So I don't know. It didn't make me laugh. Okay, so the animation was decent, but it wasn't like
I actually thought the animation was pretty good for that scene. It was very cartoonish.
Yeah.
Because they were doing parkour and it was like really ridiculous. Homer especially cannot do
they're
that stuff.
hopping on TNT boxes and all the buildings are falling. I kind of like that, like the ridiculousness of it.
I agree that it was way over the top.
Yeah.
But it looked cool.
The only part I genuinely thought was amusing was where it cuts to them hopping on the planets.
Right.
And then you see that they're in the planetarium. But in general,
I feel like in a newer episode, even newer than this, they would literally be jumping on the planets.
We're not there yet.
The
maybe season 28.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, in general, I just I was watching it. I don't know. I was bored. Like I don't.
Well, it did go on for a long time.
I'm trying to think of like other chase scenes that I love. This one's different because it wasn't all over the place. But like, how great is the Raiders chase scene with Bart and Homer, where
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's a little different, but it's a chase that's
that's a direct parody from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But every shot mattered. Every shot was something. It was giving us something.
True. This one, it's just like every cut is like they're elevating where they are, and eventually they're on the planets, and the joke is that it's the planetarium.
It's just I'm
with you. I understand.
We've really never dug into Family Guy yet on the show. We will one day, even if it's not when we get to the crossover.
We're not tearing that Band-Aid off yet.
Even the chicken fights in Family Guy, I feel like even those where the scene by scenes usually they give you something different, something new. I don't know. I was bored. I don't know. I didn't care for it. I didn't. I did not like it.
Yeah.
I just whatever.
Do you think this was a response to that kind of Family Guy chicken fight thing?
No, I think it was more of in the line with the French Connection and I'll turn in the badge.
Right, just parodying contemporary action movies.
I wouldn't be that cynical.
Well, there was one thing I did like towards the end of it where Homer and Ned were suddenly in a Batman 66 parody.
Yeah.
As we know from a previous episode, I love Batman 66.
Right.
That whole campy Batman, Adam West, Burt Ward show.
I was seeing it. I was like, I appreciate that it was there, but it wasn't giving me any. There was no serotonin being released in my brain. I wasn't.
Oh, all right.
I
getting all science on it.
I mean, the one we liked in the episode we watched with Large Marge.
Yeah, that was like one of the only things I liked about that episode.
Burt Ward and Adam West, they did great delivery. The parodies were spot on. This was just kind of just a shot. Like I like Diddley as a Batman.
I like that a lot,
but
it was basically just, hey, remember this old Batman show?
Yeah,
and I guess I just like being like, yeah, I remember that old Batman show.
I mean, it's
become what I hate. I love reference humor now.
I appreciated the reference. I don't know. It really just didn't do that much for me. And then there was a really weird moment where Homer's like hopping car to car again, which I think is more of a general movie parody movies thing. And he goes into a limo and he comes out with an Emmy and he runs and like the Emmy gets into the foreground of the shot.
That was dumb. I didn't like that at all.
I'm guessing they just must have won an Emmy recently, but they won Emmys before that. 2000.
They won tons of Emmys, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't understand why they were showing off. They won an Emmy, and I don't know what that was. Like, and you're the Simpsons. You don't need to show off. You're the greatest show.
Simpsons, the longest running.
You don't need to show off.
Sitcom of all time. Not even animated.
You don't
show.
need to brag about your Emmy. You're amazing. You were awesome. I don't know.
You had 6 years of unbridled excellence, and then a couple of good years, and then.
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Well, the chase scene ends with this kind of they're on a steel girder that's hanging over the air, and that was whatever. But eventually, they both fall and they land in this wet cement.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to get out before the cement dries, and they don't, and they're stuck there.
Yeah.
And it shows like a time lapse thing of Flanders reciting part of the Old Testament from memory.
Yeah.
It was okay. Like, I understand that Flanders would do that, but then at the end, he's just like, and Abraham beget whoever, and blah, 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 and all that. And it was the exact same joke as Larry King in the season 2 episode.
Right, where he's
like,
and that was better because it was Larry King.
Right, and Homer fast-forwarded through it.
Not only was it the same joke, it was really mind-boggling because they fall in the cement, and I'm guessing the story reason that happens is because now they're stuck with each other, so now they can make amends, but they don't. It's just literally
they don't. You're
Flanders
right.
just does the.
That's a good point.
They've already made amends by Homer sacrificing himself and saving Flanders, but that.
Well, he didn't really sacrifice himself.
He fell off the gurney. Yeah,
Flanders was
you're
like
right.
dangling, and then Homer grabs him, and then Flanders is like, "But what are you holding on to?" And they were both falling.
But you're supposed to assume that because Homer has like a quick montage of good things Flanders did for him.
Yeah.
So Homer is just like, I gotta save my friend Flanders, and he does. So that's kind of the resolution of their conflict, even though they don't really show why Flanders would forgive Homer. Not that he really had anything to forgive, but it was kind of a one-sided resolution.
Yeah.
But then they fall in the cement, and it's like, aren't you sticking them together like this, where they have to talk? Their heads are like
they got to talk it out now.
Yeah, but they don't. It was just.
It's just a joke about Flanders
Yeah.
reciting the Bible and
Right.
Homer hating it.
It seems really like a wasted opportunity.
You're right.
I don't. It's like why did they have to land in the cement? I
don't know.
don't know. It didn't make any sense. So then
Eventually they get out, I guess. We don't really see that.
The cops get him out, and Homer goes to jail.
Homer goes to jail, and then it ends with Homer in prison.
Sideshow Bob escaping.
Sideshow Bob
in a
escapes
very
from the
quick exterior
penitentiary,
shot,
yes.
which whatever. I feel like.
That's
didn't-
okay.
You know why I don't like it? Because
Yeah.
I feel like it waters down Sideshow Bob. Like
That's true.
I feel like he should only. They've done a few visual Sideshow Bob gags. I feel like he should only be in an episode where
Where Kelsey Grammer's actually there, and it's a
honestly,
central
if
part of the
it's
show.
If it's an actual Sideshow Bob episode, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. But it ends with, after that, Homer's in prison, and Marge sends him a cake, and it's like, I made you a very special cake, and Homer opens it up, and you don't see what it is, and Homer's like, oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, sexualizing Marge.
Right, but then then you do see it, and it's like, I love you so much,
says,
or
"To the
something
love
like
of
that.
my life."
To the love of my life,
Pink
yeah.
icing.
And that's the end of the episode, and I was like, that doesn't totally make sense, because Marge is still at the erotic bakery,
I mean,
and
she
Homer's
doesn't
in prison.
have to be the erotic bakery. It wasn't an erotic cake.
That's true.
But they never.
There was no
show her
resolution.
leave.
There was no real resolution or return to the
You
status
don't
quo
see
for
her
either
leave,
storyline.
yeah. For neither, yeah.
But I love that it ended with a sweet moment, because
was
we're
really-
starved for those.
Yeah.
There's
No,
never any sweetness in
it was
episodes.
it was a really sweet moment. The fact that and it's a side we almost never see of Homer, where like that Homer was unless he was saying, oh yeah, just the cake in general. But I think
Actually, he could have been. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I like the idea that like he's so in love with Marge, and they've hinted at this in a few episodes we've seen. That
Complete
like
and utter dependence.
just the love, like just his like her love for him, it like is just enough for him. Like that
Right.
guy was sweet. It really didn't have a place there. It didn't have anything to do with him and Flanders.
No, I mean, the episode had nothing to do with Homer and Marge's relationship. It was just like, I'm making myself like it less now that I'm talking it out. Because I liked that it was the sweet moment between Homer and Marge, but
It's quite the weird ending for a St. Patrick's Day themed episode, if you ask me.
a little bit, yeah. All right, well, that's how it ended. And
Yeah, no, it was an interesting choice.
okay, so I think we are ready to rank this episode. If you're new to the show, we rank our episodes on a scale with 4 different quadrants. We call it the Hippo scale, or the Dave system, based on its creator. We're looking at the humor of the episode, looking at the integrity of the episode, or the characters like the characters we know, and does the story make sense? And those are the 2 most important things. And weighted less than those 2 things are the production values of the episode. Do we like the animation, how it was done, and the originality of the episode? Do we like
Straightforward stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't we put 2 minutes on the clock?
Let's put 2 minutes on that clock.
get this
Let's talk through. We're doing on a
over-
scale 0 to 5 is how we rank. 0
Okay.
being worst, 5 being the best.
2.5 being in the middle.
Starting right now.
All
Okay,
right.
humor of this episode. I thought there were a lot of good things in this episode.
I thought there were some good things.
I might go above average on this one and say 3.
Okay. I mean, I really liked the thing in
Is
the
that
Hulk.
Crazy? Maybe I should do 2.5.
I
like the thing in the Hulk.
That's what I was thinking. I liked the Hulk thing.
Actually, basically
I love
everything
the
I liked-
cakes. I loved Marge's cakes line.
Right. Basically everything I loved was in the St. Patrick's Day part, except for that IRA line.
And
All right, so I'm gonna go middle of the road. I'm gonna say 2.5.
all
for
right,
the humor on this one.
I'm still wavering between 2.5 and 3. I'll let you know at the end.
All right. Integrity of this episode. It wasn't that.
Nobody was
from
out
a
of character.
character
It
perspective.
ended on
yeah.
a great moment. Homer
Yeah.
and Flanders bonding was great.
Yeah, the story was.
Robert Forster seemed pretty in character.
Robert Forster was very in character. I would have liked to see more of him, but not so much. I don't know. I'd probably say this is pretty high on integrity, actually.
Yeah. The
Like
idea
of
Marge doing erotic cakes, I like it. I agree.
Just overall, I liked this episode. I didn't dislike this episode. I didn't love it.
I was pretty disappointed in just
Really?
how bland it was.
All right.
I'm gonna give it. I'll give it a 3.5.
I'm gonna give it a 3. The production values of the episode, I thought it was pretty well animated, as I said earlier. Even the parkour scene, which wasn't so good, I thought looked nice. There were other things I thought looked good, but I can't remember what they are.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't wowed by
whole
anything.
parade part.
I did like the Northern Irish coming up the street, the orange and the green, Hulk, Mulk and Finn.
I mean, when I say I like it, that probably means about a 3 because nothing's
agree.
like blowing me away.
I agree. I'll give it a 3.
All right, I'll go 3. And then the originality of this episode, it was it was sort of original. Like, well, it's one of those we have so few seconds left.
Right. It's not just originality isn't just originality. It's also just how good the story is. I don't think it's that
the
good.
story wasn't that good because it's 2 really separate storylines that never come together. So I'm gonna go below average on
Which
this one.
didn't resolve.
Maybe like 1.5 or a 2.
I'm thinking 1.
Wow. Okay, so the numbers are in. We've crunched our math here. Is that what you do? You crunch math? I don't know. And this episode ranked pretty highly. It's in our top 5 actually right now. Our top 5 episodes.
It's funny. I think you like this episode more than me.
I definitely liked it more than you.
I really just didn't like it. Maybe because I had my St. Patrick's Day parade expectations so high, but I couldn't really find reason to give it low scores in any specific category. So I think that's why it ended up so high. I guess it was just more. I don't know.
It was kind of a middle of the road episode, and we've watched a lot of terrible episodes. I think that's what the problem is.
We keep forgetting that even the good ones on our list aren't.
They're not that great. Like Bart Stops to Smell of Roosevelt's is pretty high, and it's not a. There's good things in it.
Right.
But it's not a great episode. Well, this one's actually lower than that one. So we are going to put Sex, Lies, and Idiot Scrapes below Bart Mangled Banner. It's a worse episode than that one, but it is better than Goo Goo Guy Pan.
Okay.
I think that's a good spot for it.
So it's in our top 6.
It's in our, Okay, so that is it for the ranking, and that is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have a terrible Simpsons episode you want to suggest, you can do that at our website, which is wepodcast.com. From there, you can get our email address, you can find us on Twitter at Worst Episode Pod, and you can find our Facebook page. You should follow us on all of those things. Follow us on email is not really a thing you can do.
Follow us on Facebook. We posted pictures from Diorama Rama.
Yes, we did. Actually, if you go on the
dioramas.
website, if you go to last week's episode, I put a link in there. I tweeted it out a couple of many days ago by the time this comes out. You can send us your feedback if you want to talk more about this episode,
anything,
comments
really.
on the website. Yeah, anything. We're down for whatever. And we just want to thank everyone for downloading the show, for supporting us, for reviewing us, for all that good stuff that you do to support the show.
Tell everybody that anybody you know that might be into us, let them know. Because we would appreciate the support. We've been asking for iTunes reviews and stuff like that, but just listeners would be great at this point.
Yeah, we'll take listeners, iTunes reviews, and presents.
If you're a popular person, if you're more popular than we are, and you actually have followers on Twitter and stuff like that, give us a little shout out. We'd appreciate it.
We would definitely appreciate that.
And to those who
we've had people who have, and God bless you. You're doing the Lord's work.
It really it really means a lot to us.
It does. It definitely does.
We honestly never thought. We're at 23 episodes. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I didn't think we would get past 10 because we'd be like, no one's listening. To hell with this. But a lot of people are actually listening. We wish we'd be more. I mean, I think we always wish we'd be more.
I think it's your Dalek voices and mine. I think they're just so pleasing to the ear when you're have headphones on and it's 8 a.m. and you're heading to work. I think people just want to hear that.
I think you're confused. It's not me doing a Dalek voice.
Oh,
there's
it's an actual Dalek.
Here.
Yeah, of course.
Did someone call for me? I just left the bus stop. Oh no, I missed my bus.
Oh, that Dad Dalek and his misadventures.
It will be another hour before the next bus. Curse this mass transit system.
And scene.
And if you would like to come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia, that is a thing that I co-host with friend of the show, Dan Ozzie. That is every month. It's the first Thursday of every month at Berry Park in Brooklyn. Or if you are in another town, another city in North America, another municipality, and you would like to go to Simpsons Trivia, and you're like, oh man, I can't go to Brooklyn. Well, you might be in luck. There are a number
Joe Pesci, you're in luck.
I missed the bus too. I've chased after the Dalek. Where can I go to trivia? Joe Pesci over here, over there, and I'm also John Travolta. Well, you may be in luck. Toronto, Chicago, Hamilton, Canada is a place that has a trivia night.
Really?
It is. Yeah.
Good for them.
A vibrant one. Other places, I don't know where else. There's one. I think there's one in New Jersey now. I think there's one in Madison, Wisconsin. Just Google Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia, and you can find more information about that. As for us, we're going to be back next week.
Oh, good.
We had so much fun this week, we decided, hey, let's do another one next week.
Let's do a 20. We actually said we were only going to do 23 episodes.
I know, but now we're saying, you know what?
We'll do a 24th.
Let's do another 23. Let's just get crazy with it.
46. That sounds like a nice.
Let's do at least one more
round number. Let's do one more.
So we're coming back next week. We're going to close out March. I think it's the last episode of March. And we are going to do what is now our most requested episode. It was The Man Who Came to Be Dinner, the season 26 one with Kang and Kodos. But now our most requested is season 11, Kill the Alligator and Run, featuring Kid Rock.
By the way, Robert Forster starred in a little-known movie called Alligator 2, the sequel?
Did he really?
He might have been in the first Alligator. I feel like he's in Alligator 2.
Okay.
But he's in one of the Alligator movies.
Well, maybe he's in this episode. I know for a fact he's not.
I think it's him, and then I think it's like the cop from The Mask, the no-nonsense cop.
Yeah, the one from Peter something or other.
He's the lead.
He was on that Seth MacFarlane show.
Yeah, he's the lead in one, and Robert Forster's the lead in the other. I forget which one's which, though. Great movies, though, the Alligator movies.
Well, you heard it here,
It's
folks.
literally about a giant... It's like a kid flushes an alligator down the toilet, it becomes a giant alligator, eats people
What's
in
it,
New
like
York.
a Jaws?
Yeah. It was like early 80s.
Well, if you want to check out Alligator, you click through WePodcast.com.
Alligator 2, The
Amazon
Mutant.
page.
I don't think it's the sequel. I think it's called The Mutant.
Alligator 2, The Mutant.
Starring Robert Forster
sequel.
or the guy from The Mask.
Not Peter Scolari.
Oh, it is Peter something. You're right. He was also the asshole dad on an episode of Sports Night.
Yeah. He's a good guy, that guy.
Good actor.
This is not the time to be talking about these
No,
things. We're trying to
we're
get out
supposed to
of the
wrap
show.
up.
Anyway, cut all this. You know what? Let's play a game where you name episodes and I tell you if they're fake, and then after that we'll do some fan fiction.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
All right. No, we're not going to do any of that. Next week, season 11, Kill the Alligator and Run. We'll be back then. Maybe that'll be a new worst episode ever. I don't know. We've both seen it, but it's been forever since we've seen it.
It's been a very long time.
We'll talk about that next week. But for this week, we still do not have a good sign-off phrase. So thanks to everybody, and
happy St. Patrick's Day.
Zibbly bop.
Kindly deeds done for free. Kindly deeds
Done for free. Kindly deeds done for free. Kindly deeds done for free. Kindly deeds done for free.